Welcome to today's Explainer. We're doing something a little different today. We aren't just analyzing a text, we're descending straight into a grim, dark fable. And to really get to the bottom of this, I'm not just going to guide you, I'm going to become your guide. I want you to imagine me as the ghast. Think of it as a wandering phantom, a ghost haunting the corridors of a history that has already ended. So from this very ghostly vantage point, welcome to the sanctuary of the immovable.
I am the terminal anchor, the silent weight that renders existence heavy, rigid, and stagnant. Well, what this reveals is actually a pretty dark secret about human psychology. Deep down, humanity secretly craves this so-called Blue Sepulcher. We want it as a refuge. We want to strip away all our messy, complicated humanity and just become a fixed, solid object. And why? Because being an object makes you safe. It completely shields you from the dizzying horror and the fluid, predatory demands of actually having to make your own choices.
You can literally hear the truth hidden right in our very language. Take the word for being paralyzed, starr. It is born from the exact same linguistic blood as sterben, which means to die. Paralysis and death share the same DNA. It proves that we actively, willingly choose a state of living death. It's a psychological defense mechanism, right? We do this to guard against deep existential dread, or what Nietzsche would famously call Angst.
Now, the world romantically calls this state freedom, but the truth is way darker. It's actually grausame Entbindung, a horrific untying. Imagine a violent expulsion out into a completely lawless void. To a phantom like me, the heavy architecture of the petrified ascetic provides this stagnant, almost comforting peace. And frankly, that stagnation is far more endurable than the terrifying vacuum of absolute autonomy. Let's look at how this plays out through a few striking parables.
Okay, part 1, the broken instrument, or the master weaver's tapestry.
Picture a master weaver. He spends every single waking moment of his entire life creating this magnificent divine tapestry, completely sustained by the belief that he is weaving it for a celestial king. But the moment he threads a very final strand, he walks into the throne room and finds it completely vacant. The king is a myth. His lifelong labor was for absolutely nothing. In an instant, he realizes he is just an exposed instrument, and there is no hand left to play him. When reality shatters like that, a person is utterly consumed by Weltschmerz, a crushing, undeniable world pain. But looking through the eyes of a phantom, this death of God really isn't a tragedy. Actually, it's just a confirmation. It confirms that our haunted house is literally the only structure left standing once the masters vanish. The illusion drops, and all that's left is the Blue Sepulcher.
Let's move to part 2, the frozen seed, focusing on Siegfried in the wasteland.
So out in this harsh, unforgiving landscape of ice, we have a hero named Siegfried. He stands right before an ancient anvil, which is the final, lingering symbol of a dead god's authority. Does Siegfried kneel? No way. He shatters the anvil. He completely refuses to be shaped by traditional molds, choosing instead to use the surrounding frost as a grindstone to force a bloom right in the dead heart of winter. I mean, it sounds incredibly heroic, right?
Siegfried absolutely believes he is practicing amor fati. That's the Nietzschean concept of deeply embracing your fate to sharpen your will to power and break free from your confines. But from where I'm standing, I see him for what he truly is. He's just a fool, actively authoring his very own Blue Sepulcher.
As it goes, without the weight of gravity to define his hammer, his will to power is nothing but a scream in a vacuum that has no memory. By shattering the anvil, he loses the very gravity that gives his hammer any meaning at all. Rebelling without gravity doesn't magically make you free. He hasn't liberated himself, he's just forged brand new invisible chains in a lawless void.
Which brings us to part 3, the voluntary herd and the Emerald Dungeon.
Imagine a mass of travelers wandering in the dark. Suddenly, they discover a verdant spark, this vibrant, glowing pulse of life force. But when confronted with the radical autonomy that this power demands from them, these last men are terrified. So what do? They immediately use it to construct an emerald dungeon. They willingly trade their individual souls for a shared delusion, quite literally begging to be bound. They build a cage because they fear the dark infinitely more than they love their own freedom.
This right here is Gemeinschaft. It's a community formed by the weak, anchored entirely in shared submission. And honestly, I confess, as I wander these ruins, I find the only true wisdom rests right here with the herd. They willingly trade the dizzying horror of absolute freedom for the cozy warmth of a shared delusion. They intimately understand the comfort of the living death.
Next up is Part 4, the Cold Starfinder, the nomad of cosmic isolation.
Look at the long descent of the star Phanto. Here he is, standing at the very edge of the world, meticulously adjusting his obsidian rings. Once upon a time, he was a navigator for kings, but now he's decayed into a nomad of pure cosmic isolation. His future is just being a post-theological observer, endlessly tracking the death of old illusions across the vast void of space.
He is a soul that has become completely divorced from human empathy. To me, he's the ultimate linguistic manifestation of the living death, a soul that looks only at things that are fixed, rigid, and immovable. He has become entirely paralyzed by his own cosmic observations.
Finally, Part 5, Haunting Our Own Ruins.
This entire collective psychology of stagnation, it's deeply rooted in ressentiment. That means defining every single fiber of your being through the lens of the very thing that once subjugated you. The grim, uncomfortable truth is that we all lovingly polish our shackles. Why? Because in a world that has become a horrific untying, the shackle is our only anchor to identity. We desperately need the weight just to feel real.
Think about every soul we've encountered today. The Weaver with his completely pointless art, Siegfried smashing anvils in a vacuum, the Erd frantically locking themselves away. They all make the exact same choice. Rather than face a dynamic, terrifying present, they avoid it. Every single one of them, in their own unique way, is choosing the Blue Sepulcher.
So, I leave you with this. Take a long, hard look at your own life. Look at your own structures, your own deeply held beliefs. Are you actually facing the dizzying horror of absolute freedom? Or are you, just like me, simply haunting your own ruins? Are you hiding inside your very own Blue Sepulcher? Something to think about. Until we meet again, in the dark.